Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone. Good evening to all of our alumni. Welcome, everyone. My name is Greg Leparati. I'm Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at Baruch. It's a pleasure to have you all with us this evening. This is going to be a super interesting event. We're excited for it in collaboration with the Star Career Development Center. Before we get started, feel free to put in the chat bar where you're Zooming from. It's been really cool to see our alumni joining us from all across the country, all across the world, really. People from Europe, people from Asia have been joining us. So feel free to let us know where you're joining us from. I'm in Queens myself, and it's a bit of a dismal day here in New York, but hopefully the weekend will be a little bit better. Nancy from Manhattan, excellent, wonderful. Rockland County, awesome. New Jersey, cool. So I'd like to just lay a few quick ground rules. We would definitely prefer if you could keep your microphones muted throughout this presentation, just so we don't have any ambient noise in the background. And we will distribute the PowerPoint as well as the recording after the event is over, with other pertinent information as well, and some information about other future upcoming alumni events. That being said, I'd like to introduce my colleague Marian Verre from the Star Career Development Center, who is going to walk us through today's presentation about upskilling your resume and using LinkedIn. That being said, I now introduce Marian.
Hi. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for attending. And as I'm seeing where everyone is from, I'm streaming from Lower Manhattan, so nice and wet today. It's a wet day. I'll be presenting about LinkedIn, and sort of most part, we're going to talk about how to make your LinkedIn profile as effective, marketable, so that when depending where you are, you can make sure that your LinkedIn is ready. We'll also talk about how to upskill your resume. As I go through the slide, just do your best to ask questions about the slide. I'll have plenty of time in the end for you to ask any general questions you may have about any topic. So if you can, you feel free to ask questions in the chat. Along the way, it's just easiest for us when talking rather than we're trying to figure out who's talking. We are recording the event. If you don't want to be seen, you can turn off your video if you want to. Just as Greg said, please mute yourself so we don't hear any noise in the background. Okay. All right, but I like to always say, because at the end, I feel like I always forget announcements, so I'm just going to make some quick announcement in the beginning. We do have a weekly alumni newsletter that we send out through the Star Career Development Center. That's basically any opportunities that we know that we are aware of. That's whether it's on or off campus. So if you're interested in that, if you just when Greg sends this out, you can click on the link. It goes to our website. You have to fill out a little quick form. And then you'll get it on. You'll get our weekly on Thursday evening usually. There's a career fair coming up. This is all virtual, and it's a great opportunity. It's not your typical career fair, obviously, because it's virtual, but you'll have plenty of time to do like breakout rooms and small breakout one-on-ones with tons of companies. So if you're interested in networking, if you're interested in sort of learning what's out there, definitely attend this career fair. This is a special link for Baruch. So when you click on this link specifically tracks Baruch alumni. So this is an event that's sort of, it's called the Multi-Campus University Virtual Career Fair. So when you click on that, that's what it's sort of called. And it's sort of several colleges around the tri-state area. The next alumni career workshop that we're having is virtual interviewing and video submission. We have a Baruch alumnus who's going to be talking about that. She's talked about this many times. She's different capacity. She graduated about 6+ years ago with an undergrad and graduate degree. So it's a great workshop if you're, especially everything now is done virtually. So this is a really great skill to sort of nurture and have strengthened. So I suggest everyone to attend that, and that's also in the Alumni Career Relations Workshop calendar. Okay. All right, other quick announcement. I'll put this in the chat. There are 2 jobs that if people are interested, we have a job developer website within our office. It's a full-time 40 hours a week position at an hourly rate. I'll put that information on the chat so you have that available. But there's this other organizations, Longwave, they're looking for, this is more of an entry-level investment analyst position, more for someone who's sort of an economics person rather than a finance, but you can check out the opening yourself and you can see if that's something that you're interested in doing. I'll just quickly put that in the chat. I can find it. It's always like when you need it, you never find it. Um, I'll do that later. So I thought it was ready to leave it. It's somewhere in my desktop somewhere, but it's not ordered. Anyways, all right. All right. As Greg said, I work at the Star Career Development Center. My main role now is I'm a program manager for a new leadership program that we have called the Technology Leadership Development Program. This is basically a leadership program for students, undergraduate students who are interested in a career in technology. And so we basically have do a group virtual tech project together. We do workshops, tech workshops together. We have career workshops together. So this is just sort of a way for students to be more aware about the world of technology. So if you happen to be an alum and you work in a place and you happen to want to participate somehow as a professional, as a Baruch alum with this program, feel free to send me an email later today, and we can try to figure out how we can sort of collaborate with that. Okay. So the Star Career Development Center, as an alum, you do have access to many things for free within the office. And right now we do one-on-one career appointments for undergraduate alums. So alums who did their undergraduate degree at Baruch College, that's the type of alums that we work with. There are other graduate career services that works with students who got alumni who got their graduate degree. So if that's you, there are specific graduate center career services for Marks, Weissman, and Zicklin. For us in STAR, we service the undergraduate alumni who got their undergraduate degree at Baruch. And the services that you have available is basically one-on-one career appointment. We have it for free now, so it's a great opportunity for you to take advantage of that. It's all through Star Search. I'll send you an email. There's an email address at the very end that I'll show you. In case you don't have a Star Search account, you can set up one totally for free. We just need some basic information from you. We also have like career assessments. Career assessments, there's a small fee. I want to say $65 for that, just because we do have to pay for the assessment. Well, we use a Myers-Briggs type indicator, and we use Strong as to assessment. But we do have a free online career career assessment called Focus 2, and that's through Star Search. And there are a bunch of other resources in there that's free, like Vault.com. There are free. So if you log in through Star Search for Vault that way, you get free services, free like handouts that normally Vault would charge you like $30 to $40 for, or something like that. So in order to get that free, you sort of have to go through Star Search and use your Baruch email. And if you don't have a Baruch email, just contact BCTC. You do have access to your Baruch email for life as a Baruch alum. So even sometimes you need that .edu address for certain things, which we'll talk about later. So that might be something you might want to sort of reactivate, that Baruch email account. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about my profile, my background. Otherwise, I'm going to continue with our program. So LinkedIn, a lot of people hopefully here have heard of LinkedIn. I've been using LinkedIn for about 15 years now, since it's first started. And I would say that, in the beginning, people were really, really cautious about using LinkedIn. And for me, LinkedIn is really a great free resource for everyone to sort of expand their network. And if you haven't used this before, basically, it's an online resume for the most part. This is your opportunity to sort of, if you don't have a network that you could sort of tap into, then this would be a great way to find those network. LinkedIn is, for the last couple of years, have been putting jobs in there, so you can actually use your LinkedIn profile to apply for jobs directly that way. So that makes it a lot easier. So that's sort of the other reason why having a LinkedIn, a well-written, developed LinkedIn, so that it's easier to apply. So LinkedIn before, right, the typical Rolodex everyone had back, as of 10 years ago, I guess, people stopped really using Rolodex, and now it's sort of looking more virtual. Even now that we've all basically moved towards virtual, LinkedIn has sort of been in the forefront of that. And again, this is a great way to make sure that you have a LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn was created more for seasoned professionals that have like many years of experience, and they wanted to sort of connect people like students, job seekers, with professionals who are more seasoned. So this is sort of how LinkedIn, the mission of LinkedIn from the very beginning. So now a lot of more people, the more baby boomers, the millennials, are actually in LinkedIn. All right, success stories. I mean, there's tons of success stories, but basically, I would say that from what I heard from many success stories, students just alumni and students just find networks here. This is a great place for you to say, you know what, I don't really know anybody, and whether you're switching, like maybe you are, in finance, but you're really interested in becoming a teacher eventually, but you're like, no one in my network is really a teacher. Well, LinkedIn would be a place where you can find people who are teachers so that you can connect with them and figure out how they became teachers, figure out how they got their jobs, what are the requirements, their experience, etc. So that's something that I've heard from many people. Like, people will always say, I don't really know anyone because I've been in finance, or I've been in accounting, I've been in technology for certain years. So everyone I know is sort of in that space. So if you are looking to transition, this is a great place for you to meet people outside of your network. Um, I- I've heard stories where people are like, wow, I have all these eclectic background, I have all these different work experience. And the people find them saying, oh, we were just looking for someone who has X, Y, and Z, and you've sort of fit in all the checklists that we're looking for. And in my past roles, I was a recruiter for a software company, and I know that from my experience, I always source candidates for tech positions. And so for me, I've saved companies tons of money just from sourcing candidates that way. And with LinkedIn, it makes it easier to source people for technical positions or more technical positions, whether that's technology or finance or accounting. Because when employers are sourcing you through LinkedIn, they're sourcing you based on technical skills. So they're not going to source you for communication, analytical skills. Those are soft skills. They're going to source you based on licensure requirements, foreign language or technical languages. So those kind of things are when people say they're sourcing candidates, they're talking about technical skills and qualifications, not soft skills. And so it's really, really important. We're going to talk about today how your profile from beginning to end really has to have a lot of those jargons in the industry that you're trying to break into or trying to sort of move around in. So again, does anyone have any success stories they want to quickly share? Don't have to, but if you happen to have any success stories, I'm sure everyone would love to hear it. Okay, that's all right. Well, hopefully I gave you some success stories. So a lot of the profiles that I put up here are people who have agreed to put it in there. Most of them are people that have worked in our office at one point. One of the things that's very, very important, it's really important to have a picture. So you do not have to go out and get a photo shoot or anything like that. You can just use your smartphone, your camera phone. Just make sure it's well lit, but it's basically from the waist up. That's so you can take a picture, you can crop it, but just make sure it's well lit. The background doesn't always have to be white like Talia here in the example here, but it can be something background. Just make sure it's more appropriate, meaning like it shouldn't be you have your laundry on the bed, that kind of thing, and you're taking a picture with a pile of laundry in the back. I've seen pictures that this person's doing a selfie, but it happens to be in a bathroom. You can see that it's clearly a bathroom. Those are things that would not be appropriate as background. So you could be just anywhere outside, somewhere where it's not so crazy busy. What I suggest people is if you have like the new Samsung or the iPhone, they have that portrait feature where it kind of blurs the back a little bit. That's always a good feature. So no matter what your background is, as long as you could blur it a little bit, that works fine too. The other way to do that is if you take a picture and you upload it into PowerPoint, you can sort of if you don't have all the other fancy softwares that they have for editing pictures, you can use, there are some basic features in PowerPoint that you can actually use to edit some basic features where you can blur things out. So that's another possibility for editing pictures. Eventually, I'm going to show you in a little bit that the background where the picture is also needs to be changed, so that's defaulted into that blue sort of like a technology looking board, hardware board. So you want to change that, you can edit that, and I'll show you that in a little bit. We'll talk about headlines. We'll talk about the different categories that you can put. If you want to click on this, there are some great symbols, bullets that you can cut and paste from here. So you can have different icons that you want to put if you want to customize your LinkedIn. You can't just use the icon that you would find in Word. So once we send this out to you, you go to this website, there are like thousands of different symbols that you can use to sort of create your bullets and so forth in your LinkedIn profile. So that's a great way. And we'll talk about all these other sections that I kind of highlight here. All right, so definitely as you're completing your profile, LinkedIn will tell you sort of how complete your profile is. So make sure your goal is to make that 100% complete, meaning like each section adds a different percentage to the completeness. So make sure that you try to fulfill as many of the sections until it tells you that you're 100% complete. It doesn't mean you have to complete everything. There are certain things that needs to be completed, like your headline, your picture, your about summary, all that stuff, which we're going to talk about. So there are certain sections that has to be completed before it can give you that 100%. And it does, people who are sourcing you or looking at your profile will see if your profile is complete. So it's really important to be mindful of that you do need to complete your full profile. When you are editing your profile, you're creating your profile, just make sure that it's completely not public. So that means no one can see it. So no one can source you that way. So it's really important that you make sure if the security level that no, it's not public profile. That means only you can see it. So that way, if you make it once you make it public, if people are sourcing candidates and for some reason yours gets put in that sourcing list, they can't see your profile. So just be mindful of that when you are editing your profile, just make it not public. Okay. All right. People always say, well, what's the difference between a LinkedIn profile and a resume? Resume, you're limited to 1 or 2 pages, unless it's a curriculum vitae, where a curriculum vitae is probably about 4 to 5 pages. So you're confined. Obviously, there's probably more to most people than 1 to 2 pages. So LinkedIn really allows you to be able to expand your resume in a way online. So in other words, you sometimes might have to cut out all these other experience, and in LinkedIn you don't have to do that. So if you have experiences in high school that because you're a recent graduate and you have some great things, you were very active in high school in addition to Baruch College, it's okay to put high school in LinkedIn. Even if you were a seasoned professional, those are things that you would just never take out, you just kind of compile and add to. So that's the difference with LinkedIn, is that you don't have to worry about what you're going to put down, whether it's tailored or not tailored. You literally just put everything, every experience that you've experienced, and you would put it on LinkedIn. And that's the difference between resumes and LinkedIn. Excuse me. Like I said, the professional picture, this is my colleague Kara. So you see that it's more or less around the waist up. Just be mindful that she changed. You see that she has this background, so it's not just the default blue. I'll show you a little bit. When you create a LinkedIn profile, it'll give you a sort of a LinkedIn link default. And it basically is linkedin.com and in all these string of characters, numbers and characters. So make sure that you customize your URL, sort of like a short link. So make sure that that's something and for me, the suggestion is basically your first and last name. And if your first and last name isn't unique, just come up with another, you can say Baruch alumnus or something like that. Something to make it unique. Like if your name is John Smith, probably there's going to be a lot of John Smith, in there. So John Smith wouldn't be unique, but Marian Vare probably was unique enough. So that was fine for me. But make sure you don't put strings of like letters and numbers afterwards. Even if you put like Marian Vare, don't put ABC 1 2 3, because people might still think that's the default link and you didn't customize it. Some other things they'll ask is location, industries that you're sort of part of, and then the headline, right? And the headline is the first thing that you need to customize, because if you don't customize your headline, it will default to your job title in your first experience section. So whatever you have as your first work experience will be automatically put into your headline if you do not customize the headline. So you see the X bottom there in the bottom, where I put the X, those were that person, that's not her, but that would be what someone will see as your headline if they didn't customize it. My colleague Gerald is on the left, and then my colleague Kara is on the right. So you can see there's different ways to create a headline, and there is about, I want to say, I think 90 characters that you can put within the headline. And really, this is a combination of not like what you're looking for per se, but it's sort of like your hashtag or your professional identity, if you want to call it that. So like, for example, like in a book or a journal article, you can read the headline and you basically generally know what journal article or the book is going to be covering for the most part. And so that's sort of how I would look into a headline when they see it. So my colleague here is a yogi, so he does yoga, teaches yoga and things like that. He's one of our social media person, so he's responsible for that. So you put social media and technology enthusiasts. So those are sort of fun ways to sort of tell someone some of your, I guess your brand or your what you want to be associated when they see that first thing. So if most people will see your first and last name and then your headline. That's always in the top. So that's one the few things that they're going to be seeing right away. So it's really that that is really important to be mindful of what you want to put in there. Okay. All right. Again, if you have any questions, I'll try to kind of look at the chat as I'm talking. And I'll try to answer anything along the way. Please feel free to ask questions as I'm going through the different decks. And then again, I'll have plenty of time for questions at the end to ask general things. Okay. Okay, there you go. So the summary section. This is the part that I find people have the hardest time writing. So it is important to have a well-written one. I'll answer your URL question in a little bit. So this, for me, there are different ways to do this, but it really is important to at least have 2 paragraphs that explains you as a sort of an executive summary about yourself. And this is a combination of maybe depending where you are. If you're a recent graduate, your profile might go from academic to professional to personal flow of the 2 paragraph. If you're more seasoned, then you would focus a lot more on your work experience and your technical skills, and then transition into something more academic, like certifications, licensure, and things like that. So that's sort of what's important. You can add the new features that you can add photos, videos, presentation, and links in the summary section. You can add that for all the different sections now too. So that's kind of the nice thing, because then you could put more. It's a little more engaging when you put photos and presentations. But just be mindful that if you are going to put a presentation, just make sure that you're not putting the whole presentation. So if you're going to upload anything in LinkedIn, which is once you make it public, a lot of people can see it. I suggest just putting the main page and another slide, another deck that has some points what your presentation is about. So you're not sending the whole presentation. So when you're uploading presentations, that's sort of what I would encourage people to do. Any handouts, just be mindful that you don't want to send the whole thing if it's a very lengthy document. Okay. So include your contact information. When I say contact information, I only mean your email address. They can contact you directly from LinkedIn, but I always say never put your mailing address, never put your phone number in LinkedIn, because again, you don't know who's looking at it once you make it public. But it's okay to put like New York, New York, or Bronx, New York, Queens, New York, something general like that. But there's no need to put your exact address for safety and security purposes. And there's no reason to put your phone number at all. So make sure you don't do that as well. Okay. That goes also when you're uploading resumes on a job database. You really should only put city and state and zip and your email address. Even then, I wouldn't suggest putting your mailing address just for security purposes. All right. So let me look at the URL. So yes, so when on a desktop, it's usually on the top right corner, it's a little pencil. So anywhere that you see a little pencil, that's a section where you can edit that section. That's the edit button. So if you're doing it on a phone or an iPad, it's usually towards the bottom of the LinkedIn page. But basically, you want to find wherever it says URL, click on that, and you customize it. So when anyone who signs up for LinkedIn account gets an automatic LinkedIn link, but it's a combination of different characters of numbers and letters. So that's how it works. So it's really important to customize that. One, it's easier for you to remember, but also makes it easier for anyone that you're sharing it with. So that's what I mean about customizing your URL. All right, does that make sense? Let me know if that answers your question, Kate. The second question, I was confused about the level of privacy. Your LinkedIn page should be set for recruiters to have easy access. Yeah, what I'm saying is in the beginning, when you're creating your LinkedIn link, LinkedIn profile, make sure it's private because you're still building upon it and it's not ready. Eventually, of course, once it's ready and good to go, and it's, you know, you've found like you're happy with your profile, absolutely, you want to make sure that's more public so the recruiters can find it. It's only for when I said that is for building it so that no one can see it because it's not done yet. Okay. 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 Someone answered your question. Case. Okay. Got it. What options make it private? Barbara, I'm not sure what you mean by that. What option makes it private? It's under setting, and there's a privacy section in there, and there are different levels of privacy. So you might want to just check that out, because there are different levels where you don't want people to see your picture, you don't want people to see this section, etc. So just play around with that so you can see the level of privacy. But there is an option there where no one can see it but you. Private setting. So that way, again, that's the setting you want until it's ready to go. Okay. All right. Hopefully that answers your question. This is a little guideline for you to answer if you're having a hard time. But I treat like the summary section almost like a cover letter. You know, you're in the middle section, like what qualities do I have that would make me a good candidate for whatever position you're pursuing. So I would, if you don't know, look at 10 job descriptions that you're interested in pursuing, similar ones, and start circling the skills that they're looking for. And for the ones that you have, those are the skills that you're going to articulate in your summary section. Okay, so that's a good way to think about it. But this is some questions you can answer as you're sort of writing out your profile section, your about section. All right, so this is a lengthy one. There's different ways to do your summary. I do suggest start with 2 paragraph, which is the one on top, but you can definitely break it down into other things. I'll show you my profile later, but you can write 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, and then you could have bullets if you wanted to. But really, the minimum I say at least you should have is the 2 paragraphs from the content that I just mentioned, and then you could sort of add more to it if you feel like you need to. And you can see here how this person added these media stuff in the bottom there. So that's what it would look like based on the media that you're putting up. Okay. This is, again, you'll see this. Greg's going to send it out later, and you could sort of you can use this as a sort of a mock-up so you can see something from a format perspective what we're talking about. All right. Eventually, there are other sections you can add. Experience, for sure. Definitely add your experience. And for me, it doesn't have to be tailored like the resume. So it doesn't have, if you have like 10 different jobs and you can't fit it in a resume, in LinkedIn, you don't have to worry about it. Just put every job, no matter how applicable or not applicable it is. And it will give you, there will be a section for you to fill in the blanks. So this is not something I customize. I didn't write, this is one of the students. This is not something that they customize. It's basically when you go in there, it'll say fill in these blanks. Like what are your job title? What is the company name? All that stuff will be automatically in there. You basically fill in the blanks, with exception to the bullets. You do have to make sure the bullets you have to do, otherwise it will go into a paragraph format. And the only difference why I suggest you write bullets is because it makes it more scannable than it is if it was written in paragraph form. Okay, and education would be any education that could be like a boot camp that you did. There is a certification section, so you don't have to add certification. And there are different sections within education that you can also add some little areas for. So you can definitely do that like this student did with activities and societies. So ask, is it worth it to pay each month? So to pay the premium if you are just a regular job seeker, meaning you're not a salesperson, that's not your role, then you do not need to pay for the premium package at all. For me, I don't pay for it. I think I did the 30-day trial just to see what are the bells and whistles. But the free feature for the regular person, for the most part, will suffice for all their needs. So this will allow if you pay the premium, it just means that the certain features would be like, you can see who's viewed your profile versus someone viewed your profile. You can have more features in searches. So if I was a recruiter, there might be certain fields that I want to criteria that I want to search for. There are more that allows me to do more advanced searches because of the premium packages. Those are the things that you get more, but for a regular job seeker, you want to expand your network. It will allow you still connect with people and things like that. So I don't think for a general job seeker who's not using LinkedIn for work to get clients and things like that, you'll be fine with getting the free feature of LinkedIn. Yes, you can send. Well, let me clarify that. You can connect with people, meaning if you don't know someone, it's a cold connection, like meaning you're not connected to that individual in any way. Then you do have to send them a note and get their permission to connect. With the premium packages, you don't need to have their personal email that they've set up to get a hold of them. You can send them a message directly. If you get the free feature, you get the connect, and then you get to customize a small note with about 300 characters. With the premium, depending on which way the premium, you can just click send and it will go to them directly, but it doesn't mean you're connected. And that's where, if you're marketing, for me, if you're a job seeker, a lot of people find that a little intrusive. So it's really for them, they'd like to say, let's connect first and let me figure out if I want to do that based on your profile and what you're sending to me, rather than send me a direct email. So that's the difference between the premium package and the free feature. All right, so then the other sections you could add is skills and expertise. So there are like hundreds of different skills, and this is based on an honor system. So time management is one, Microsoft Excel. Obviously you should put those as long as you can confidently talk about how you know that skill or at what level you know that skill. So don't just go crazy and just adding skills you think because it's fancy. You do definitely want to put skills that you somewhat know or have a good sort of working knowledge of before you decide. But I would say upload in your first, when you're creating your profile list, make sure you upload at least 10 skills in there. And we'll talk about, if you don't have those skills, how to get them. We'll talk about that at the end. That's the upskilling part. So if you don't have that, we'll talk about that, how you can get those. All right, these are other sections you can add right here: a project section, languages section, publication, honors and award. Test scores are standardized test scores. So these are not like your midterms or your final, those kind of things. This is like the SAT, the MCAT, the LSAT, those kind of standards, the CFAs, the CPAs, those kind of test scores are what you would put under test scores. Courses are courses you take online, or if you're a recent graduate, you would put those courses in here. Even if you if you sort of, for me, courses, you don't put everything. A lot of people sometimes want to put everything because the excuse is that you never know who's looking at it. So I'm going to put everything under the sun. You absolutely don't want to do that, because it needs to still be focused. It can't just be you're putting English 101, Spanish 101, CIS 101. You're not putting everything in there. And people's excuse, like, I want people to know I'm diverse and I know all this stuff. Absolutely, that's too much. That's the only time that I say you got to cross there is no gray area. It should be tailored to some degree. And be mindful, like if you have all these, obviously more upper level courses in finance, there's no need to put the introduction to finance, right? If you have all these upper level courses in something, there's no need to talk about the intros. So be mindful. If you have all these technical courses that you've taken, there's no need to put introduction to CIS, something like that. Patent certifications. Certifications are what you would get from, like, we'll talk about this in a second too, like Lynda, Coursera, those type of online learning platforms. They give you a certification. So those are things that this is where you would put those type of courses that you've completed. Volunteering is, like soup kitchens, volunteering for like a nonprofit, that type of opportunities would fall under volunteering. Contact information, again, is more just email address. This is also where you can put your Git. If you're in tech, you can put your GitHub account. You can put your GitHub account. If you have a website, this is where you would put your website and things like that, but not your mailing address or your phone number. Oh, okay. Um, like I said, for every section, you can now add different media. It's not unlimited. I want to say like 3 or 4 media type of things in each section. So don't go crazy, but adding media, like maybe like for Baruch College, you can put the Baruch College, logo or icon that you would find online. Those things kind of add a little more layer to your application, so it's not just text. So be mindful of adding media and videos and pictures too, because it does add some little layers to your application, to your LinkedIn profile. All right. So the other things now, once you've completed your profile, right? So the networking piece of LinkedIn is, a lot of people from Baruch, generally the Baruch population, they're not Rockefellers. We don't have tons of people that we know and we could tap into. If you're, Baruch alums, that's generally the alums and students that I've worked with. So for LinkedIn is fantastic way to sort of get people to be part of your network. So if I'm a tech person, as an example, and I'm looking to really, I'm done with tech, but I really want to be a teacher, and I don't know anyone that's a teacher, I can find people online who maybe are teachers, and I could sort of pick their brain and how they got to where they are today. So there are these different groups. There's the Baruch College group. There's the Baruch Alumni Association group. This is an example. This is a real group that you can sort of find on LinkedIn. And then you could try to join. And once they reviewed your profile and that you are part of Baruch in some capacity, that you did do your Baruch degree here, then the administrator of that group will then add you to that group. You can also create your own group. Don't go crazy with that though. I know you can create your own group, but don't go a little overboard because I have seen creative groups, but I would say that make it professional. For example, I didn't create this group, but I'm part of this group. I got my undergraduate degree at San Diego State. And then I grew up in California. I moved to New York to go to school. Someone created a San Diego State University, New York City group. And so those are people who are SDSU graduates who happen to be in New York. And there's about like 200 of us here. And we've organized events for the ones that are here. So someone created that, and it helped attract people who are identifying with that group. Otherwise, I wouldn't know if that exists. Like, are there SDSU people that, happen to be working? There are. I'm sure there are more than 200. But that's a great way. That's an example of why it's good to create a group if you don't see one that makes sense. This is not a group where it's more for fun. LinkedIn really is more for professional. So it's a professional social media. So it's not like you're going to create like a knitting group, something like that. You should create like a professional, if it's a professional knitting group or something like that, maybe. If you're interested in, so let me create, if you're interested in creating a Baruch alumni, I would create, okay. So that's Greg who typed that in. But yeah, so yes, Greg will help you with that, but just be mindful, it has to be professional. There are other platforms if you want to do more personal, which is like meetup.com. That's the better place to create more personal groups, personal interest groups, I should say. All right. So yeah, so that's a great place for that. I'm not going to do this because we probably run out of time. For job seeking, it's just like any jobs. It's just like any job database. There's a search section and there's a greater area location section. So that's something that's new to LinkedIn. New being 3-4 years now. But what's great about it. It makes it easier for you to apply directly to a company using your LinkedIn profile. You can also do it with Indeed. Not all of Indeed, but there's a good section of Indeed posting, and this is something that whoever posts this has to turn on, basically. So if you're interested in, if it gives you that feature in Indeed.com, then you can use your LinkedIn profile. It just makes it a lot easier for you to fill in the blanks by having a LinkedIn profile. So for people, the reason for that is just it's easier. That way you don't have to worry about typing in content. It's automatically filled in if you use your LinkedIn profile. Okay. And just like any job database, I always say be mindful of scams, right? Be mindful. If it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. So never give money to anybody. No one should say, we just need to process, we need your social security and $50. Don't do it. I say that because I feel like that seems obvious, but unfortunately, there's still a lot of people that fall for that. So no one should be mindful of that. It is, public and it's online. And with that, there are unfortunate people that take advantage of that. So just be mindful. And again, if you're not sure, talk to the career services office, meet with a career counselor to discuss whatever is you're concerned with, because sometimes you don't know. Some of them are pretty slick about it. So be mindful of that too. Okay. There are companies that have LinkedIn page. So that's another way for you to get more information about a company if they post stuff. So when you go for an interview, you might get more real to up-to-date information that you can use to ask questions from a company. And some people do post things about job opportunities through LinkedIn. So that's also another reason to be following certain companies. You can't follow everyone. I mean, obviously there's thousands of companies. You're not going to follow thousands of companies. You'll realize your feed will go crazy and you'll miss a lot of things. So it's still very important to be targeted and follow certain companies that make sense for you, that you're really interested in. And you can unfollow people. So if you wanted to follow 1,000 people and then you're going to change that later on, you can do that. So once you follow someone, it doesn't mean you follow them for life. It just means until you click unfollow, that will stay that way. So the other things that you can do in LinkedIn is post things. And again, when you post things, it should be professional. Like I can post something about this event, if I wanted to, that would be professional. I'm not going to post things that I would post in Instagram, Twitter, for the most part, or Facebook. That type of posts should not be in LinkedIn. So LinkedIn really should be professional posts. And when you click a post, it gives you for about 30 days statistics on your post, meaning how many people have viewed it, etc., and things like that. So be mindful of that post. I moved this earlier, but this is like, for example, this is the Baruch College alumni section. This is an old one. Can't remember when I took this screenshot last year. So there are probably a lot more, but this breaks down the group, the Baruch College alumni group, where they are per location as well as where they are working. So when I looked at it at the time, these are sort of where people are working based on that list that's in that alumni profile list. So it's also another feature that helps you target your networking. If you're interested in working for EY, you know that, okay, let me be part of this. I'm part of this group now, and then I could see who these 661 people are that works at EY. In order to get the list of people that's within that group or network, you have to be part of that group. So that's another reason why being part of a group is important. So then you can have access to their network. And so that's why if you say Baruch College, not like anybody could just be part of Baruch College. You either have worked at Baruch College or go to school at Baruch College. It can't be like someone that works or goes to school at Baruch College. So it's really important to utilize whatever group you have and be part of that. What's also popular now about groups is companies are beginning to have company alumni groups. So if you worked at Goldman Sachs, they have a Goldman Sachs alumni group. So those are people who used to work at Goldman Sachs. So that's a group that I've seen. A lot of big companies have created other groups like that. So that's another great way for you to sort of network with people that you might have worked with in the past. And it's just another way to kind of, you don't have to worry about getting their business card and you not knowing that information's old, because people move around jobs like more so than ever before. So people don't stay for like 30 years in one job anymore. So those business cards really change a lot more. All right. When you connect with someone, that person becomes your first connection. So when you see one, that means that you and that person is connected directly. If you see a number 2, that means that you're connected with that person through another person. Okay, so there's one person between you. If it's a third connection, and that's the last that they'll state for you, that will label for you at LinkedIn, that means there's 2 people in front of you, right? There's a first and a second. So that's what it means. So if you want to touch base with a third connection, you sort of have to ask either the first or second connection for an introduction. You don't want to say, oh, Jane Smith is your third connection, but John Doe is your first connection. You don't want to just say, oh, John, I see you know John Doe. You want to try to see if how well John Doe knows Jane Doe, and hopefully, John Doe will introduce you to Jane Doe virtually. So that's sort of the etiquette around LinkedIn, is just be mindful. Don't just go directly to a third connection or a second. You want to try to see the closest connection to that person to introduce you. And that's sort of the etiquette around, connecting with people through LinkedIn. Okay. All right. So if this person is a person I find on LinkedIn and I want to connect with them, it looks a little different because they moved the center now to the left. So the picture used to be in the middle, but now it's sort of over here. But because this person is a second connection, that means there's someone in between us. And there's 6 of those someone here in between me and Liz. And so it tells me who are the people that are in between me, so I can then know who to ask if I need to, right here. So that helps it. That's what I mean about having a first connection and a second connection. All right, when you want to connect with someone you do not know, or it's not your first connection, or not, you pass beyond the first, make sure you always send a tailored invitation email. And again, you only have about 300 characters in order to email someone you don't know. You can have more characters if you pay the premium, so it'll allow you to go beyond the 300. But honestly, you don't need more than 300 because you're just trying to get their attention and connect with you. And once you're connected, you don't have to worry about the limit. You can email them directly. But when you don't know a person, this is the default that you would get. This is like, I'd like to add you to my professional. That's the LinkedIn default if you do not customize the email. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that it was an email like this if you're sending it to. And this is a big problem for a lot of people. People always get a little click happy and they just forget to customize the email. So for me, it's a quality over quantity. So make sure that you take the time to customize this LinkedIn invitation email. It's really, really important. And you see how short it is. It's 300 characters or less. So please be mindful that you do send a customizable invitation to connect email. So these are just a regular post that you might see right here. So any groups that you follow, you'll start getting all these feeds from the people you follow. And that's why you don't want to overfollow anyone, because then you'll go crazy and all the feeds in your email. So just be mindful of who you're following, and you want to comment. So you want to, just like any social media, you do want to be sort of active in dialoguing through LinkedIn, so that your application is sort of has movement and it's not static. Okay. Before we move on to upskilling your resume, questions around LinkedIn profile. Okay. Does anyone have a LinkedIn profile that they've already created, or are most people just looking to create one? Okay. Maybe we probably have time for like one. If anybody wants to upload their, LinkedIn link, we're happy. Maybe we can look at it as a group if you want, if anybody wants to do that. Yes, we are. After today, Greg will be sending out the PowerPoint as well as the recording after today. Give him a few days. I know I get a lot of emails saying he hasn't sent it. Give him a few days, please, before you email me asking where it is, please. Someone will email me tomorrow morning, I'm sure, saying, where is it? Please give Greg a few days to do that. Okay, no problem, no pressure. So we'll move on. So upskilling your resume. Basically, if you are a job seeker, whether you're a recent graduate or more seasoned, you're obviously in a point where you're looking for a transition, whatever that transition looks like. But part of that transition isn't just about looking for a job, right? People sort of just say, well, I've worked, I'm very seasoned, I'm just gonna look for a job. But if you are a seasoned person, a lot of people at your level are probably seasoned too. So it's really important to diversify your application. And that application is your resume, basically. So it's really important to utilize what's out there to make sure that you're as diverse in your qualification. Meaning, like, if you spent 30 years in accounting, besides accounting, what else are you doing besides your skills that you've been learning, which is a great start. We'll definitely look at your profile, Lakeisha, as a group. Let me just go through the upskilling and we'll definitely look at that. Thank you for being brave and sharing it with us. So one thing that I should have headed backwards, this is the deadline. So make sure that you do this as soon as possible. Let me just, I'll send it in the chat. The deadline is October 31st. So CUNY, and this is available to anybody. This is not a CUNY, so it's open to the public. So if you want to share it with friends, it's totally fine. But CUNY is the one who's spearheading it. It's what they call a CUNY Upskilling Challenge. But basically, it's a combination of different companies, Google, IBM, Coursera, a bunch of other places you'll see on the website. And they're giving you free online learning, basically, technical and soft skills. You'll go in there, there's hundreds of different things you can do for free. But you do have to get into the program. It's not a program that you apply for. It's just a form that you fill out online, then you more or less automatically get in. But the deadline, they say, is October 31st. Once you get in October 31st, it doesn't mean you have only till October 31st to finish that learning. It just means that you have to get in there by October 31st. So just be mindful of that. I'll put it in the chat. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to this. I thought it would. Okay. Can everyone see the PowerPoint again? Okay, here you go. That's the link for the CUNY Upskilling Challenge. So that's one way. That's a great way. You can see there's tons of courses in there that you can take, but just be mindful of the deadline there. So if we don't send you by October 31st, sorry, we'll send it to you whenever you can, but now you got that you need to sign up for this program before that. Lynda.com right up here. It's another online learning platform. If you haven't heard about it, it's basically similar to Coursera, and LinkedIn Learning owns Lynda now. They bought it, but they're still two separate companies up to now. But if you go through lynda.com, and if you have a New York Public Library, that's the New York Public Library, not the Queens or the Brooklyn, it's the New York Public Library, you get free access to lynda.com, and it's all online. So if you work or live or study in New York City, you do, or New York State, sorry, not New York City, New York State, you do have access to, you can get a free library card. So, and once you get your library card, then you have to go to the special link that the New York Public Library has, and you enter your username and password, and you can have Lynda wherever you have internet access. So, and then there's courses in there like Python, SQL. There's even a workshop in there like how to use whiteboarding for a virtual interview. That's like a workshop that they have in there. So they have tons and thousands and thousands of courses for free, and they're really good. And once you complete them, they give you these sort of certification of completion. That's something you can put under certification in one of the categories that I mentioned earlier. So you can do a bunch of those. That's really, really reputable, and people respect that. So it's really something that you should be doing in general. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm really good at Word, I'm really good at Outlook, I'm really good at PowerPoint, but I don't know how good I am in it. Well, in Lynda, there are different levels of those tech skills. So if you want to take the advanced version and you feel like, wow, I really get the material and I'm really comfortable with it, then you could probably put in your resume that you have advanced knowledge of that tech skills. So sometimes people don't know where their level of skills are. And so if you take some of these courses, it gives you a little more validity in that you're on what level you are, because then you could honestly say that you're advanced level because you took this advanced course in Lynda and you felt like you were really super comfortable with the materials. So that's another reason why to take those courses, to give you that level of security that you know what you know, basically. And then Coursera is like Lynda. There are different courses. Some of the courses in Coursera are sometimes more like towards soft skills rather than technical skills. I mean, they have thousands. So I'm super generalizing. And LinkedIn Learning is pretty much like Lynda. LinkedIn Learning, you do have to pay. And for me, if you wanna, if there's something in there in in LinkedIn that they don't have in Lynda for whatever reason, you can always try the 30-day trial and then cancel it afterwards. I always tell people if you don't want to pay, that's another way to do it. Just remember to cancel it because you do have 30 days, and most of the workshops are like 2-3 hours. They're not like weeks, So so it really is important. Where Coursera, it is a course in a way, so that means sometimes it might be like 12 different sessions, and each session might be 2-3 hours kind of thing. So that's the difference between Lynda, where Lynda and LinkedIn Learning is more a few hours each, and they're not sort of they're not connected to a series, where Coursera is and Udemy is as well. For Inside Sherpa, if anyone hasn't heard of Inside Sherpa is an online virtual internship platform. So what does that mean? Real companies like Deloitte, Accenture, JP Morgan Chase will upload real virtual projects. They're not really internships. They call it internships, but it really isn't an internship. And I still have issues with this because I feel like even though Inside Sherpa calls it an internship, it's not an internship, but because it's just project-based. And so what it is that you complete these projects based on whatever is uploaded in there. And there's hundreds of different projects, and there are real projects that real companies upload. And it will give you the option that would you like the company to have access to your project once you have submitted it. So you don't have to, but that's a good feature inside Sherpa, because then someone will get it on the company's end. And if they're interested in speaking to you further, that helps you with your application. But with Inside Sherpa, if you are a recent graduate, or maybe you worked in something else, I get alums that, for whatever reason, didn't really work in the area that they studied. And after several years, they decided they wanted to do that again from what they studied. And they, because they've been out for, 4 or 5 years, they lack that experience in their resume. Inside Sherpa gives you sort of that content in your resume to help it make it seem like a lot more moving forward. So that's sort of another reason why Inside Sherpa is really good. It's more corporate, so it's not really for nonprofit stuff. This is really more for like finance, not really accounting, but maybe consulting and technology. Those are some of the projects the internships that I've seen in there. You can call it an internship, but you'll see what I mean when you log in there, that it's still sort of that gray area, whether it really is an internship or not. I say you could definitely put it under experience, but I still have issues in calling it an internship because it's not really an internship. It's not even really a virtual internship. So it's more of like a virtual project, if anything. So those are ways to sort of, for someone who says, what, I don't really have a lot on my resume. I'm looking to transition, so I don't have experience in that. Inside Sherpa and all these learning platforms is a way to beef up your resume, to have more content that you might have before. So it's really important to think upskilling that's when you think of upskilling, it's like you're trying to break into something, but you don't have the necessary tech skills, not in technology, but like accounting skills, finance skills and things like that. So these learning platforms, a lot of them are generally, you can find ways to get it for free. Definitely through CUNY, it's going to be for free. So take advantage of that because it really is good. Oh, another thing I forgot to put in here. The public library, this is for alums, they do offer Bloomberg certification. So the New York Public Library does offer a Bloomberg. That's if you're interested in learning about the Bloomberg Terminal, which is a software. It's really useful for people who are either in economics or finance to get real-time financial news and data. So that's why people would, want to learn Bloomberg Terminal. So if you're in that field or interested in that field, that's something that you might want to add to your things to do as you're upskilling your resume, excuse me. All right, let me stop sharing so we can look at Lakeisha. So she's bravely agreed to, let me see, I'm stop share because I have to stop share and share my screen again. Here we go. All right, so this is Lakeisha's profile. So some of the things that I would change with her is this background here. This is the default background. This is the board that I told you about. So this is one area you can customize easily. She can change definitely her headline because it seems to be defaulting to her first job or her job. So for me, I would add a few more things to make it more dynamic. Let's look at her about section. Her about section is a great start. You got some great interpersonal skills in here. I would just add a second paragraph to kind of expand on some of your technical skills and maybe add some things that you're looking for. Never ask for a job or you need a job right away. So always be a little more vague about it when you're asking. Say, this is what I'm looking for. These are the type of opportunities I'm looking to pursue. That's not saying I need this now. It's more like, this is what my area of expertise. This is what I'm looking for. So anyone who's looking at your profile will see that. So I would just definitely, it's a great start. Absolutely. I think you did a great job articulating your sentences. I would just add another paragraph. Add bullets to your job description because you see it's written more or less in a paragraph form. The only real reason why you put bullets is just make it more scannable. That's the only reason why you put bullets. And that link that I showed you earlier where you can get bullets and symbols is a way to do that. If you don't want to do that, like you don't want to cut and paste bullets and symbols, just use the asterisk symbol. So that's the Shift 8 button to give that little asterisk, and that will be your bullet instead. So that's another way if you don't want to cut and paste any bullets. Okay, so definitely as I'm scanning her resume, I see that there's no numbers, so there's no quantification. So that's probably something that she should add on her resume, is quantifying her resume. So it's really important to quantify your resume because people, when they see quantity, it gives it a little more tangibility in what the work that she did. So she put a little bit of it here, I noticed, the 250 million, but definitely quantify your resume whenever possible. That's important. So she got her degree. So in addition to her college, her degree is important, their actual degree, and what you studied is important. So that type of content should be under your education. So that's missing. Definitely more skills because she's missing some of the skills. Like definitely the Microsoft skills is the minimum that people should have. So that's missing. Maybe depending what she's doing, she might, if she got a I'm assuming she might have gotten a master's degree at Baruch College because it was only for 2 years, and she had her bachelor's degree from Evers. That you might want to put some of the coursework that might be relevant depending what you're looking for. So that's one possibility. And if you have, once you do Inside Sherpa, then you could put like you could have a project section in there. If you're part of any association, professional association, you can put that under, there's another category called organization. So that's another category you could put in there. So joining professional associations is very helpful, but it also helps you sort of tap into a network that you might not have through that association. So that's another way to sort of, this is how I would sort of give some feedback to Lakeisha. So thank you, Lakeisha, for being brave and doing that. And I think, yeah, so you do need to customize your LinkedIn link because you have these numbers at the end. Even though I think you did customize that, it doesn't look that way because normally it's a bunch of letters and numbers. So I know that you customize because it would look like a bunch of these right here. But you don't want to have series of numbers. It would just be your first and last name. And you can even put like Baruch. That probably will make it more unique. Lakeisha Murray Baruch or something like that. The only thing I don't like to put when you're customizing a link is underscore. Because when you do a hyperlink, it makes it hard to know if there's an underscore in your link. So that's sort of an issue more than anything. So make sure, be mindful of that. Maybe there's no need to put that underscore. I don't know if we have time. I'm happy to look at your profile later, Maria, but I'm not sure if we have time to look at another profile. I'm happy to give you some feedback later after the call. But just for time's sake, I want to open it up for questions for people. And let me move on. Let me move on. Share my screen. Let me see. This is it. There. I'm like, where am I? slide. All right. So last thing, just make sure what you're putting out there is real. I always put like you're trying to put an apple and orange together. It's got a little bit of Frankenstein. What that means is that your resume, even though you might have obviously different work experience because you're going to put as many of your work experience in there as you can, just be mindful that in the end, it all flows together, meaning your skills aren't everywhere. They're not sort of patched up together. So if you're interested in accounting, there should be different parts of your resume that gives me that sense that you are pursuing something in accounting. Even if you're career switching, right? When you're career switching, most of your skills are going to be focused in within that career that you were pursuing before. So if I was a tech, all my work experience probably tech related, and then now I'm switching to something in higher ed or a nonprofit, then my new section will be more focused towards that. But before that, it shouldn't seem so patchy. So it's really important to be mindful and that you organize your LinkedIn profile so that your skills and your experiences are somewhat, laid out that it makes sense. It's not so patchy. And that's what sort of this picture I put in there to represent. And then now questions, if anyone has any questions in general about upskilling or about LinkedIn profile in general. I know most people have a 40-minute threshold for Zoom nowadays, so I don't want to go more, but I'm definitely going to stay later if anyone has any specific questions about their profile and so forth. So just put your questions in the chat section. Okay, well, if no one has any questions, I'll give you my contact information. This is my email address. If anyone has any questions about today's presentation or about the services that you can get as an alumni who did their undergraduate degree at Baruch. So again, that's who we service at STAR, is any alum who got their undergraduate degree. There is a graduate career services for Marks, Weissman, and Zicklin. So those are three separate career services. They also provide career services like one-on-one counseling for alumni for free. It's just that they have their own workshops and things like that. If you want to have a Star Search account and you did your undergraduate degree at Baruch and you don't have a Star Search account, email this email address here, careerdevelopmentcenter@baruch.cuny.edu, and let them know that you'd like a Star Search account, and then they'll send you a form to fill out so that they can get some basic information from you. Again, there are certain things like we have Focus 2, which is an online career assessment, which is great. What's great about it, it's connected to CUNY First. It's connected to all the Baruch College majors that we have. And when you click on those majors, it actually gives you like 50 different jobs you can possibly pursue with that major. And when you click on those actual occupation, it's connected to the Department of Labor. So it gives you like a super, super, super extensive detail about that occupation, like a day in the life of that. What are the requirements? What are the degrees that you need to get? So, it's great. Career education is really key because, a lot of people are very aware of some things, like, what a lawyer does, what a priest does, what a barista does, but there's so many other occupations that sometimes people aren't aware of. And being aware of those type of opportunities gives you a little clarity what you want to do or what you don't want to do. So it's really important to think of it that way. The other things we have is going global. So no one's traveling right now, but if you do want to work abroad one day or go somewhere else outside of the United States, going global is a place for you to look to see what general job database do they use there, what is the etiquette for interviewing and things like that. So going global sort of like gives you knowledge about that. And we have a bunch of other sites that we do. We have mock interview modules. So everything is done virtually now. So what's great about mock interview modules, you can actually record yourself virtually. And there's like 8 different avatars you can use to ask you these questions. And then you can share that link with anyone and they can give you feedback. So what's great about it is you're not sending a huge file to someone so they can see your video, your mock interview video. It's just a link that you send to someone and they can actually view your interview. And it's great because then people say, well, I tried to submit a video submission which we're going to talk about our next workshop, but somehow I didn't make it through the interview. You know, there are different things that they're looking for in a video submission and a video interview. So the mock interview module is a great feature for that. Okay. And then these are just some of the social media we're at. So this, anybody could follow. I mean, this is not specific to undergraduate. If you want that, if you want to connect with us in these different social media platforms, please do so.
Marian, we got a question earlier that just, there's been some other comments, so it's kind of hard to find, but Lakeisha asked, does it look bad to have less than 500 connections?
No, because it doesn't, but I would say less than 50 is kind of, you know, I would say less than 500 is absolutely not a problem. Everyone's got to start somewhere, you know, but if you have like 20, it's kind of like where, you know, why are you not moving along? Most people will connect with more, you know, their classmates, their recent graduates. So for me, like don't go crazy. Once you start, don't go crazy and start clicking on everyone and connect. Again, it's quality over quantity, and you will build up on it. And if you feel like you don't have anything on your resume, don't worry about that, because you have to build up to it, right? You can't, no one's going to be seasoned all of a sudden, have all the great experience all of a sudden. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people sometimes don't fill out their profile, because they feel like there's nothing in their profile separate from their resume. And I always say, it doesn't matter. You just got to build from it. You know, so it's important to look at it that way, not as a way to feel like, you know, you're nervous that there's nothing in there. So what's the point? Absolutely something to build from, because that's why it's important to kind of, you know, it's manageable content versus like waiting till you have everything and you're like, oh, I got to put everything in here. So don't worry about that. And people sometimes say, when do I stop? I always say, for me, I stopped from my graduate. I really kind of didn't really do anything in undergrad. I didn't really do anything in my undergraduate, surprisingly. All my stuff has been from graduate school on. But, you know, I graduated in 2001, so it's been a while. But I would say since I started my graduate school, and because I didn't really have anything in my undergraduate, I was definitely very, very seasoned from the moment I started graduate school. So for me, if you don't feel like you have nothing in your resume, and that hopefully will push you to start thinking about upskilling your resume. And that's why you have all those platforms that I talked about, so that you can use them to fill in your LinkedIn profile, basically. Okay. All right. So again, that's the end of my PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to stick around if anyone has any one-on-one questions. And I'm going to, sorry, last thing. I'm going to find those 2 profiles that I said, the job posting, and I'll put it in the chat. So if you're interested in applying, you know how to apply directly.
Perfect. Thank you, Marian, and thank you to all of our alumni for joining us. Yes. I'm actually going to put my own LinkedIn URL in the chat. If anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free. I recommend sending a note with the connection, so which always helps to know where we've met. And just to reiterate, I will definitely send out the recording as well as the PowerPoint as soon as I can. I'll try to do it tomorrow if possible. Yeah, and really appreciate having you all on here. Very engaged audience. Appreciate it. And you know, if there's any other questions, feel free to ask. Reach out to Marian or myself. Happy to answer them. And we're going to stick around a little bit if there's any other questions that people might have.
Perfect. I just put in the chat the job developer position. It really is more, it's an entry level. This is more for a recent graduate, you know, someone who's trying to gain more experience while they're job seeking. It is a full-time job, so within the Star, that's not with me, that's in our office, and it's done virtually. So, and I'm looking for the other one. I had it earlier. So anyone else have any questions, put in the chat. Otherwise, you know, thank you for coming and have a great evening.
Yeah, we hope to see you at our next event where we'll be doing video submissions and interviews. That's always fun. Yeah, are there any other questions? Want to make sure we get to them before we wrap up. Natalie, I will put the information for the next event in the chat shortly. And then Marian,
Mhm.
Lakeisha asked, what did you say about my background again?
Oh,
Oh, the
I
LinkedIn
would.
background.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would change it. So that's the default background. So I would definitely work on putting some other picture in there that, whatever tone you want to sort of put out there.
Hmm.
But um, but yeah, I would change it to something more different tone because that's the default, and you sort of want to have a different tone when they see your resume, your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a work of art necessarily, right,
Exactly.
Marian? Like just
Ex-
something to show that you took the time to
Yeah,
change from the most basic thing. Yeah.
exactly. An example, like for, let's see, it's my, no, I thought I, so here's, I don't know why I can't find this on my profile somewhere. Um, Let me give you an example. So like I'll give you my LinkedIn profile. It could be anything, people for me it's hard to say what's appropriate because I feel like I have to see it, but it shouldn't be like too pixelated, too artsy. It should be something more appropriate. So let me show you mine. Is this mine? Remember? Oh yeah, it is mine. Okay. My eyesight's going. So I have New York City as my background here, because that's a picture I took. I liked it. I'm in New York City. That's something that I chose. Some people have seen like a winding road. I've seen that. But for me, it should be somewhat not unclear. But that's, something that you can put up there. But
And just to answer the question from the chat, November 12th is when our virtual
yeah,
interviewing and video submission event is.
correct.
My for some reason my web browser is not loading up right now, so I can't share the RSVP link at the moment.
Oh,
But I
okay.
will include it in the follow-up email with
Yeah.
everyone.
And I don't know why this thing is. I'm just gonna put triple A to see if maybe it'll like push it up to the front. Um, it's always this fun. And I think someone wanted me to review their profile. So if you're still around, I'll take a look. Here it is. And if I make it triple A, it'll pop up. This is the long wave financial investment entry level position. So let me see. Is so Greg has his profile in there too. So
Yep.
um,
I also have a New York City photo in my background.
oh yeah, so
Yes.
great
So
minds think alike.
exactly.
Yeah. Maria, are you still here?
I believe I
And
believe
uh,
yes, I believe so.
oh yes, because I think yours profile. So here you go. I'll take a look at yours, and then I always find it helpful to see other people. Sometimes people say, "Well, what should be my headline?" I always say, look at other people's profiles to give you that sense.
Hmm.
Okay, so here's the picture that she put up there. Well, perfectly fine. I would just add more things to your headline. Your picture is great. I would just add more things to your headline here. And then definitely the 2 paragraphs. You can definitely have bullets in your about section, but I would definitely add at least 2 paragraphs in addition to your bullets if you wanted to. And if you are interested in, real estate and things like that, that's your sort of area of expertise and that's what you want to pursue, then definitely a lot more media is really important. Maybe having more different bullets. So use that link that we're going to include in the PowerPoint. That will give you those tons of media and symbols that you can use in your LinkedIn profile to make it more engaging. Definitely bullets that are longer. So right here, this bullet here and this bullet here, these last two. So your bullet should be this length because here, it doesn't give enough content about what you did. So you manage wholesale, warehouse, and office, but I don't know really what that means. You said you QuickBooks record transaction. You could easily quantify that. So as I'm scanning it, I see that there's no quantification really. So it's really important to quantify your resume um, as much as possible. For some reason my chat isn't popping up. There it is. Oh yeah, there you go. Bullets for everything. It doesn't have to be consistent, so not everything has to be like 4, 4, 4. It just means that there should be bullets for each one. So make sure you have that. Um, Great. Education, fantastic. Great. So Financial Women's Association, you can actually put that under organization in addition to the way you have it. I would also put it in a separate category. Maybe you did, I didn't look. You can definitely put that in a separate category called organization, just like you did with BISC Group Global. So I would put FWA under organization as well. So skills, great. You have the skills, fantastic. You have your skill sections in there. Great. You got your honors, your language. So the only thing, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that is in addition to, if you are a technical person, meaning you're looking for opportunities within the world of tech, then it's probably more important to put your technical skills within your about section. So because there isn't a dedicated computer section in addition to skills, that it's more important for people who are in the tech space to add those technical skills within the about section in addition to the 2 paragraphs. So if you're a tech person that's interested in a career in technology, that's the only thing different, that I would add those technical skills section within the about section in addition to the skills category. Okay, and that's it. I think that otherwise everything else looks good. And within your group organization, you see how you have BISC. You should have bullets under these organizations. So you should add bullets in what this organization is, and second, what you did there. So
Natalie wants to know, how important is including the graduation year or school years?
Not everyone cares. I know that's a lot of people who graduated many moons ago tends to be more self-conscious about that. It really doesn't matter for me. Like, put it in, because people do want that to know, even if it's like, even if you graduated 30 years ago and you're looking to do something totally different, it's okay to put it in, and you're going to explain that transition within your first 2 paragraphs. So I do find it important to put it in there. And plus, from your years of experience, it gives it away. So there's no point in not putting it in there. Okay. Anyone else?
Well, if there are no other questions, I guess we'll wrap up for the evening. We hope to see you at the next event. And I will send the recording in PowerPoint as soon as I can. So you'll be able to access this and see all of the slides that Marian had. Thank you again for everyone who joined. Thank you, Marian. Great presentation. And are there any closing words?
No, I think please make the effort to create a LinkedIn profile. Even if you feel like you're not going to use it anytime soon, it really is important to develop it now, because it does take time and you need to kind of learn the bells and whistles and how to use it. So there's no, it is never too early to start using it. So please take it, utilize the workshop. Sometimes what I find is when I follow up with certain people who attend workshops, they get busy and life happens and then they stop doing it. So it's best to just get it started now. So, but thank you for attending, and I hope you found this useful and relevant, depending on what you need the workshop for. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks again. Hope to see you all again soon. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Bye, Greg.
Bye, Marian. See ya.